Hey everyone, I am Mia Voss and I am so excited to be here and pop the imaginary champagne with this group of amazing people. What started out as a level 3 PYB project turned into an amazing case study for the town of Eagle, Colorado here in my state, and it proved what happens when 8 fabulous minds get together and play well in the sandbox. Right, everybody? Look at all these great people down in the panel. It's fabulous. So let me read you a quick description about why you're here and what all this coolness is about. So on November 18th, 2014, the Eagle, Colorado team was formed for the purpose of learning how to introduce local businesses in a single town to Google Plus through the familiar territory of Google Maps, and that was at least the starting point. So this team of Google professionals, and that's what they are, they documented what they did and what they learned in the case study, which was published last Wednesday, Tax Day here in the States, April 15th. So welcome, everyone. It's great to see you. And I'm going to do this for you guys. Because that's what we do. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the case study today. I'm so excited that they brought me in to help them celebrate because I've been following this all along. Tons of great information. We're also going to talk about what you can do with this information besides just read this fabulous case study. So I'm going to introduce this team. We're going to start with Mr. Vin Brown, who it's already tomorrow for you. You're over in Australia. Oh, can you unmute?
Sorry.
Hi.
It is true. I live in the future.
What's it like for you tomorrow? What's going to happen?
Well, I can tell you the lotto numbers if you're interested.
Oh, yes. That's all we needed. Drops the mic. Welcome. Tell us about you.
Well, I'm in South Australia. Our team is located all over the world, and I'm the one in Australia. So it's 6:30 in the morning here. The birds are just waking up.
I can hear that.
You might even hear the garbage truck pass by if I can't mute in time. I'm a web developer and I promote businesses, small businesses, on Google Plus and social media. And
that's why you're a great member for this team. Plus, I love your business name, Vintuitive. That is so clever. I like that.
Thank you.
Welcome. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about what you've put into this, which I know is a ton. And next up, also over on another far side of the world, we have Nina. Where is she? Over in Bulgaria. Welcome, Nina Trankova.
Hi, Mia. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
It's midnight here, but I'm fine because we used to work on this schedule for the last 4 months.
Yes, so you're used to this time frame. Tell us about you real quick.
I'm a consultant. I've been in business for exports in the industrial sector. And now I'm helping businesses becoming evident on Google search and help them with strategy on social media. So,
excellent. Thanks for doing what you do here. I love that all these different team members are dropping knowledge all across the world and gathering us all together. So great team that's been pulled together. Next up, let's talk to Peter Lunn. Hey, my man. How are you? I like that. Kraken Media.
Kraken Media. Yeah, I'm good, Mia, thank you. I'm in the UK, and it's in a relatively large town called Bournemouth. So if you imagine the UK a bit like a triangle, we're down the bottom by the beach. So we just use our laptops, sort of sun ourselves on the beach, and just do a bit of work here and there, duck and diving. And no, but seriously, it's been great to be part of this team and collaborate with so many really good people from all over the world. And I fell in love with Google Plus about 18 months ago, and it's been a great place to actually find a lot of really, really good people.
I think you're where I need to go next on my Mia on the Go adventure.
Yeah, come to Bournemouth. That's where it's happening. There's quite a few old people here, but it's still happening.
Listen, sounds like you got it going on. Life at Peter Lunn. Hello. Excellent. All right, next up, let's talk to Tim Sweeney. Where are you, Tim?
Hey, Mia, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I guess you want to know a little bit about me, don't you?
Yes, and where are you?
I'm actually in New York State, so it's an interesting environment here because we have I would call it kind of a digital divide with you can go to certain spots and they're fairly well fluent in using digital media. I'll put it in other spots they're not so. So it's interesting. It's a contrast. And what I do primarily, I have one main client. It's e-commerce space, and we've been doing it since the late '90s. And We make a good living at it. I mean, enough to pay the bills at least. And then I have a host of what I call secondary clients, which include a lot of local businesses, which, if you listen to them, I can't record them. It would not be family oriented because they get frustrated the daylights out of dealing with anything to do with digital media. That you slowly bring them along and they grasp it, but you can see the frustration in their minds and eyes. So I almost call myself a psychiatrist at times. It's like
So
a therapy.
It's all NSFW conversations, not suitable for work.
No. My favorite is the broken laptop. I asked how to get broken, and they just said I lost it. And it's the screen's off the body of it, and I said, okay, that's fine. But I understand.
Now, they could have made money just videotaping themselves going postal on their computer, and then it went viral. You know what I mean?
It's funny. It's some of the best rants I've loved. There's something called the mushroom theory, which I can't disclose what that is, but I should record it sometime and play it back. I'm sure I can make money off of it.
Absolutely. So you're on the with what you've done with this study too. You bring in the frustration level of what the business owners have in the gap of understanding the digital world and then their actual brick and mortar business, right?
Yeah, more or less. I guess Debbie would call me kind of she had a problem. I would go try to find the answer to it. And I like more of the technical aspects of things, trying to figure out how it's like Google's a giant machine with all these parts, and you got to get in there and figure out how it works and the complexity of it. And then all of a sudden, Google will say, let's change this part of the machine, and they release the info, and maybe you hear about it, maybe you don't. If you don't hear about it, now all of a sudden things stop working, so then you got to figure out where do you go from there. Almost like a mechanic, I guess.
The problem solver, and also a hashtag ask Tim Sweeney.
I guess as long as yeah, sure.
That's your new hashtag. I love it. Awesome. I can see how this whole team's coming together. Okay, who else do we have? Do we have Ray? Where is he? Hi, Raylay. How are you? And there may be random people walking behind you. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. I'm located right now at the Digital Library. I am in Mexico City, and I was invited to be part of this group. I don't know. Can you hear me? Basically, what I do is business development for a company that is devoted to entertainment. We work in a venue in Mexico City, and one part that is very close to my heart is maps. I help people and companies to get their business on map. That's when Debbie started talking about this project. I was very excited about it to see how could I help and how could I learn more, because every time that you go there, you find out that you need a lot of more knowledge, and that's the benefit for everyone that works in a different group.
That's fantastic. I think again, this is proving what I said in the beginning, that it's everybody bringing everybody's bringing their toys to the sandbox. Everybody brings their skill set, and Ray is definitely an example of that too. So who do we have? Look, we have a 2-for-1 here. We have Cherie and Sanjeev. Manifest, welcome. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Mia.
Thank you, Mia. Great to see you.
Thank you for inviting me. So let's hear where you are and what you two are doing.
Well, we are in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we'll just have a variation as to what we bring to the table. We are just Google Plus enthusiasts. We love Google Plus, and I got into Google Plus in late 2013, and a few months later she got in. So Google Plus is what we are about.
And see, that's what you bring to your Google Plus fanatics. And both of you, then what is each of your strengths, though?
I focus on communities, encouraging and supporting people to do what they love. I'm probably considered the idea person, and I like to be behind the scenes. We really work as a team, so he's very good at organizing, strategizing, stepping out there. I mean, it's kind of amazing to be next to this guy and what can get accomplished if he puts his mind to it. And I just kind of look over the shoulder and help out. And but really a big part of it is just appreciating the strengths and the skills of the people on this team and trying to fan the flames of that as much as I possibly can. That's really what I'm about. So.
Yeah, just making it happen, I guess, is the simplest way to put it, Mia. You know.
That's a great yin and yang y'all have going there.
Thank you.
Again, it's like a 2-for-1. It's like the Double Mint twins. I love it.
I wouldn't be here without her.
That's awesome.
Period.
Well, I wouldn't be on social media at all if it wasn't for him, because it was like the last thing I wanted anything to do with. But once I experienced Google Plus and Hangouts and community, just the interaction, I've been hooked. I've taken a little break recently, so you won't see much of my stream publicly. I'm really behind the scenes. I help a variety of people out with their pages and their posting, but you'll never know I was even there. And kind of how I like it.
You know, I think that's a hard thing for people who are community-minded when they first come to Google Plus or to anything social, because it seems so disjointed. It seems like you're far away, you're from behind a keyboard, and then when you learn what a community you can get, I mean, look at you guys. I went to Italy for 3 weeks visiting people just that I had met on Google Plus. Hello. I mean, that's the ultimate, but I think that's the connection of community, that you can meet people you would never meet.
Indeed. I mean,
Yeah.
look at this group. I mean, we would not have met were it not for Google Plus.
I
mean,
know
the kinds of people that I can say that I know now, and not just know, but really know well, is because of Google Plus, and that list is just amazing of what has emerged in the last year and a half or 2 years. It's just absolutely wonderful.
And to help local businesses, you know, have a presence, those that are not interested even in computers, but they're being found now, and you want to make sure their information is right, because whether they like it or not, they're going to be showing up one way or another. And so having all that information correct and being able to lead people to their door, and just, we talk about Google Plus constantly, so when we do engage people, they're tending to hear about Google and how it can serve them.
right.
That's why I think a more appropriate term, I call ourselves enthusiasts, and of course, you know, the term professional is there as well. But really, I think you know, I consider myself a Google Plus evangelist. You know, in all our local social gatherings, invariably after some time, Google Plus comes up.
Right, right. You're the cheerleader for it. And what you guys are missing too, you can't see that behind the scenes in our film strip, everybody's talking to one another and cheering each other on. So this really is a great group. Now listen, last but not least, right up in here, hold on. Sound a lower. This one is Debbie Davis. And this is my girl right here, about, what, 5 miles away from me. So, girlfriend, you are the lifeblood on this one too. How are you?
I am fine, but before we even get started, I want us to say hi to Nick Rink. He says, phew, made it. Hi, everyone. Did I miss anything? Just all the intros, Nick, but you know what? Hangouts are recorded, so you can come back in and see those. And then Sheila stopped in. Sheila worked with our team for a part of this project, too, and was a great inspiration, and she's a very, very smart lady. So I just wanted to say hi to a few people that I grabbed out of there. But, yeah, I just looked at the first meeting that we had on November 8th when we decided we were doing this, and I said, you know, this is the situation in Eagle. I think I'd like to do this job. Sanjeev jumped on and said, yeah, I think so too. We had a larger group at that time of Power Plussers from the PYB Academy group, and everyone was so just enthusiastic about working on the project with me, and I felt overwhelmed with support. And then so it was no longer my project, it just became a group project, and if it hadn't been for the group, we would not have lasted 5 months. I'm pretty sure of that. So yes, it was a lot of work, and we got it done, and we're here to celebrate.
Well, that's what we mentioned in the green room, Debbie, that this is the first time you all have all been together when the thing's done, the hair's down. What Vin's got something going on awesome with his hair. I mean, it's a party. So this is really, you guys, this is such a treat to be here with them to celebrate when they're all like, whew, now we got it done. And again, this is what I'm loving, Debbie, the team that got pulled together, exactly the right people that are all bringing in these ingredients. And you guys can really see this is a case study. You guys are a case study of what it looks like when stuff works. And it looks like, so yay. All right, guys, so I know that everybody out there is familiar with the project. However, could Debbie or could one of you just give us a quick overview of what this looks like, and of course how it tied into the Vail, what happened with the Vail, I was going to say incident, but you know what I mean, what happened in Vail, why it all started, because it came from you just sort of going, wait, this is happening here. this town is, nobody knows this town over here, as is what happens in the small mountain towns.
Right, and again, most of the viewers have heard about this, but real quick, we needed to do a project for Plus Your Business so that we could hone our Google Plus skills. I was in Eagle, Colorado at the time, really bad internet, so I was spending a lot of time in town using my phone and realizing that the local search was just not really there. So when I lobbed this up as a possibility for a project that we could get these people on the town, I said, yeah, and you know what? There's this big international event happening in February, and we could use some of that digital juice because they had a hashtag, and it was a great opener for me to go into the businesses and say, so what are you doing to get ready for Vail 2015, which was the FIS World Alpine Championships, the second largest event in Colorado's history.
Right,
And
attracting
so,
more than 100,000 people, and the town right next door had no idea how to best utilize that, so they could go, oh, I can go over to Eagle and get pizza because this place is too busy.
that's exactly what we were thinking. And although it didn't play out that way, because getting the businesses in, much like Tim said in his introduction, businesses really don't understand this stuff very much, and it takes a lot more time than we had, but we were able to use this as a concept and then piece it together with with a lot of effort on the part of this team to show what could be done, and create a model basically that maybe isn't constrained quite as much by time.
Those are the best stories, everyone. I love that when things just start out of necessity more than anything, and I can just see your mind just like, wait a second, okay, and then coming up with that too. So, but as you're going through this, it's been, what do we say? It's five months. It's a 5 month. 5 month project. So then you've also seen things happen, changes with Google, changes with search, things like that. So talk about what you all ran into and how you sort of overcame those obstacles too.
I'd like to throw this to Sanjeev because a big part of this was the socialization. Putting them on the maps was very technical. We learned how to verify, claim and verify their listings for them if they needed that kind of help, which most of them did. We put photos up. That was very technical and pretty easy to do for people, who are on Google and understand that. It was then creating the involvement, teaching them how to use the digital to socialize, and Cherie and Sanjeev put together a structure between our private community and a page that was built. And so I'm going to throw it over.
Can I jump in real quick? So it sounds like though that was the entry point for everyone, was to go in and say, hey, I noticed that you're not optimized, you don't have photos. Was that what everybody would agree was the way you kind of got at least them interested, of you're leaving money on the table this way?
Indeed, yeah, that certainly was the case, and that's how things started, Mia, that we took that aspect of taking the businesses and localized and optimized them, if you will, take the business and make sure that their pages are there and optimize the pages. But as Debbie is alluding to, that once the pages are there, the real benefit is in the socializing, which is, in our case, and we had hoped that the businesses would step in, but they didn't. But at the outset, what we said, we would start socializing by going after 3 themes: the Eagle Town, the Eagle businesses, and of course, Vail 2015. And that's how we were going to generate the buzz, if you will. And even though the businesses didn't participate, we certainly did that quite successfully.
And why is it you think they didn't? Did they just not understand, one, how to do it? Did they not get Google Plus, or were they overwhelmed, or?
A combination of all. Google Plus, as we are all discovering, is a great platform, but particularly, at least in my experience, small businesses have a hard time. They have a hard time in the simplest of things. So I think that contributed to them not really coming on board. We got their pages ready, we were even managers, and there just wasn't much coming back. And that's one of the reasons why I think Google Plus really, particularly for small business, people are just small business people. As somebody who's running a restaurant, they're totally involved in that. Mm-hmm. Logging in is we had emails that weren't answered. So,
and Gabby's really the one to speak to that.
Right.
as our boots on the ground, she's the one that had the, the direct face-to-face with them just a few times. From my point of view, if a business doesn't have somebody literally holding their hand, somebody there physically in person to assist them in doing so, the likelihood of doing it online with a group of people they don't know and they've never met is pretty low. I think just learning to use the tools, I was ready and waiting to have them show up with a private community and to actually work one-on-one with them. That's why we had to keep adapting.
Right, I was going to say, but you had to move on pretty quickly and say, all right, that's not working. And question for all of you then, was it just Google Plus, or were they just did they just seem like they weren't getting to anything? Facebook, Twitter, were you able to did you see that from their other platforms as well?
Well, Tim and Vid did a little exploration. I see that they were showing up somewhat on Instagram, a little bit on Facebook, but that was just a couple of them. We had one of our case study participants would post, but it's pretty much the broadcasting, not engagement, just posting. This is what I'm doing, but not engaging. So that I think that makes a really big difference.
And to just give the context to that, Mia, our underlying context right from the outset was Google Plus. So even when we started the socialization effort, if you will, it was all on Google Plus. Later on, and I think Vin and Tim will be good to talk about this, later on as the project was progressing, other platforms came in. But
Gotcha.
We were focused primarily on Google Plus, and that's why one of the key lessons is that if anybody wants to take some of the lessons that we learned, is to really, and it's a natural thing for all of us who are involved, that leverage all of social media. But we came in with a very Google Plus mindset and then continue to adapt.
And I think that's part of the team's strengths. That's what your strength is. That I can see why you would focus on that. But right, I love that lesson learned. And then Tim and Ray, you just made a couple of great comments over here in our conversation. Tim, can you jump in on that about the journey businesses go through?
Sure. I mean, if you look at the Eagle businesses, it's easy for us as practitioners to go in there and, we have our digital devices and, Twitter's easy. And to a restaurant, they may not even be there yet, as Sanjeev said, email-wise. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a journey. There might be something called the technograph, which isn't really applied to digital media, but it's, the adoption of technology, and we can say the adoption of digital media. It's hard. You can't force this on people. I've tried it, saying you must do this, and they'll melt, and because their forte is running their business, not they don't want to be on Facebook, and bluntly they'll say I don't want to interact with people yet. They don't mind just posting some content, but so you got to build up a slow progression. And the one thing I would point out, there was one business in Vail, I think it was called Latour Restaurant, which was active on Twitter, and I yanked their example because what Latour was doing, they were listening and interacting around that event, and then saying, it was, let's talk about the event, and oh, by the way, every fifth tweet might be, oh, by the way, we have a special today. So they got it, but they were in Vail, so they were a little farther along on the journey.
Sure. They sort of, you're right. You probably looked at that town. It's almost like a college town, and then smaller towns around it. The college town tends to be one that probably has to get with the game a little bit more and be more active like that. Like every couple tweets, so and so won, come in for this drink or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. They would. And it was a perfect example. You'd have a bunch of tweets about the event, about Vail, and then all of a sudden they would hit you with, this is what's going on at our restaurant. It wasn't, the me thing where they're, just talking about them. They knew. I mean, they were sharing other people's content, and so they got it.
That's the best. Vin, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I was just going to sort of carry on from what Sanjeev was saying, that as we sort of looked back after the event and thought, what could we have improved on, we realized that, we probably left a little bit late to look at other networks because we were focused on Google Plus, and, this was a Google Plus project. But, particularly with the athletes, when we started looking at engaging with athletes who were attending Vail 2015, we found that very few were on Google Plus, but a lot of them were posting quite a lot on Twitter and Instagram. Things like an event where there's a lot of pictures being taken and stuff. Instagram is a good way of distributing them, and that's where they were. So we just went to where they were and engaged with them then. And we did get some interaction with them on those platforms, and I guess it's obvious really that that these are all just tools, and no one's really on one or the other. They should all sort of be used in conjunction with each other, and so that's what we did. But yeah, in hindsight, we would have done that a lot earlier and set up Twitter lists and connected with them on Instagram before,
right, and because
right at the
Instagram
beginning.
goes right to Twitter for most of them, even some of them do Instagram to Facebook, but I think more the habit is to go from Instagram to Twitter, especially now that Twitter populates photographs. So, and they're always doing something cool.
Well, this is
something cool.
Yeah, that's right. And sharing things to Twitter is actually, it's a big part. I mean, I often refer to Twitter as the backbone of the social web because so much does get shared to Twitter. And in fact, Google Plus has Friends Plus Me built right into it. So a lot of Google Plus is getting shared on Twitter as well. And so that's why, again, that we sort of really focused on our hashtag campaign of using those two hashtags because those two hashtags being Vail 2015 and EagleCO, so that we could sort of piggyback on the success of the Vail 2015 hashtag by including the EagleCO, so that other businesses would, so that the businesses in EagleCO would sort of get a little bit of a lift up from that event. But of course, hashtags work across all platforms, and so that's why that's why it's important to have all of these other networks working at the same time.
So they can all go through one. It just is a cascading effect, almost. One goes to the other, goes to the other.
Yeah. Well, Vail 2015, for example, if that's clicked on Twitter, it's a functioning hashtag that works across platforms. So that if it's the Google Plus is shared on to Twitter, and someone clicks on that Vail 2015 hashtag in Twitter, they're going to get a lot of the Vail 2015 posts in Twitter as well. Same on Facebook and Instagram and pretty much all the platforms now. Even the new ones, Meerkat and Periscope, they've heavily got hashtags.
I can't even imagine what that would have been like if those two things had been up at the time. So, because I think they came in a little bit after that. A couple other comments I want to just mention. Ray, you mentioned that internet access was a challenge in itself for the local businesses. I can see that. I mean, Debbie, you said that was your biggest thing when you were up there, right? Was there internet access?
That was a big part of it, and my original plan was to just go down into the town and ask business people, how do you run a business without internet? Because I was staying up there at the time, and I couldn't do Hangouts, and it was so slow. So I just wanted to go ask businesses about how do you even function as a business here? And then that's when it occurred to me that digitally they were very naive. Partly probably because of the bad internet connection, but even with a lot of them said, "Oh yeah, I do everything on my mobile phone," and that's kind of, one conversation led to another, and when I reported back to the Power Plusers, as part of our PYB meeting on a Saturday night, and I was lamenting all of this was happening,
right? And
we were looking for a project. So so the problem actually led to this whole project. And we could have never predicted it. It just unfolded.
Oh, that's the beauty of it, though, of just letting it unfold to how it is an organic thing. And yet I love how everybody was sort of going with the flow and then adjusting as you needed to. Peter made a comment here. Peter, I'm just going to bring that up. Many businesses struggle to make the mind shift to internet marketing compared to traditional marketing, even though we've had the internet for 20 years. But add in the problem with accessing it, and then you'd have to have a killer data plan if you're only using your phone, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there were some challenges, and what was really good was that we took those challenges. This team met every week, and I saw Jason Weiser has been asking some good questions about how did we proceed, and I think Cherie answered or Sanjeev answered his question in the stream there. But we had a private community that Cherie set up for us, and we used that to exchange ideas and talk about the challenges that we were facing on the project. And it was within that community. That was an open line of communication between all of us. And Tim, who was the guy, would be like, all right, Tim, how come I can't make this work? He'd go out and find the answer to that, bring it into the community, and then we'd make posts about it. So that was how we were able to just keep layering information and sharing experiences and knowledge. And when we didn't have the knowledge, somebody in the team would go out and get it. And we worked on a number of different things. We met very, very consistently once a week, usually for no less than an hour and sometimes 2 hours. So.
And just to add to that, Debbie, I mean, I answered Jason, but those of us who are on Plus and are very familiar with communities, we know the value. But that's the fact that we are all spread over. Right now, the time zones, we start at 6:30 for Vin and midnight for Nina. Yeah, the community worked extremely well. It allowed us to communicate, even create drafts, and it's a very powerful tool.
I'd also add to that the time differences we were able to work them to our benefit, so that when some sharing was required, people in the US were awake while I was asleep and were sharing, and then when I'd wake up, they'd be asleep and we'd share, and then Nina would share, and so
that's
there was
perfect,
like
actually, when you think about it.
24-hour role, yeah.
It's like this baton thing is handed off. Okay, now I'm going to bed. Who's next, right?
And let me just bring up this comment here from Heather. Do you guys think that time plays a big factor in the lack of acceptance? And if we had had more time, Heather, I am sure, because they have to get comfortable, first of all, with me. They only saw me a few times. When I was face-to-face with them, that's when I had the best communication with them. After that, email and phone calls, they just go off into the vapor someplace. And so, but if I'd had more time, if we had had more time to create a relationship, that would have helped. But you know what? That just emphasizes the point that all of this is really relationship-based. It is technical,
Yes.
but there's relationship involved in every layer of this.
I definitely saw that, just to throw that in, and I can't wait to see how I'll use this for the Mia on the Go, because Debbie, we talked about that for Austin as well. It'll be fun to use this to go to these different towns, but I even saw that in traveling overseas too, that it's in the States and it's there as well, that there is a time that you do have to build those relationships. And so a lot of people just compare it to these viral videos, these viral tweets, or these viral posts that usually involves a cat, or dollars that are thrown at it by a very large corporation, right? So I think it's just interesting to see. I mean, there are some people that you're just not going to get to. Does everybody agree that just has the sort of smaller mindset compared also with traditional marketing efforts and marketing budgets?
Yeah, can I talk about the potential? Because what is on corporations is already not interesting for visitors. They want to visit more authentic places. So I see the potential of Google Plus connected in the Google system. And evidencing in search what the owners of these businesses can create, like unique content and share text messages and video, that would bring their contact and engagement with the audience to a very high level, and it will be, for example, owners can be famous for their expertise. Say, if people ask what is the setting of Google for my region, they will say, go to Nina, she is for the settings, or
Right.
something like that. And I was already imagining how we can talk with these businesses on Hangout, and I was very excited, and just describing the experience is not the way. They have to experience it themselves, to get into contact with the customers, and that will change their perspective. Yeah, and being on search is a big potential.
Nothing
Well,
like seeing your name, right? Go ahead, Debbie. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, we touched on search. That was one of the, you know, we tried to make a couple of compelling points when we were trying to persuade and convince these businesses to get involved. This will, you know, if you at least post on your Google Plus page once every 3 weeks, just to, you know, increase your visibility on search. But it was too early in the conversation to do that. I did want to mention that one of the efforts, we came up with some good stuff, I think. One of the efforts we made was we created a digital neighborhood in which we took all of the businesses that were in the case study, there were 16 of them, we put them in a circle, then shared that circle with everybody on the team, and then everybody on the team followed those businesses, so that, you know, what we wanted to do was we wanted to demonstrate, you know, activity on their Google Plus page. Unfortunately, many of them never even learned how to open up their Google Plus page. It was
Right.
crazy.
So they open it up and there's 60 notifications and they don't know what Mr. Jingles is, and so it is a little, I bet it's a little bit of a labyrinth because we forget how much we know, right?
Exactly.
And then it's like, then you're like, then it's a rabbit hole. Like, oh, you don't know how to turn on the computer? Then you're really in big trouble.
So, you know, as you know, we've talked, I mean, it's kind of ironic. We're talking all this local stuff. You're the world traveler, just came back from 3 weeks in Italy, and you've got this Mia on the go where I think you're going to be throwing yourself into local areas where you're not familiar with it, and you're probably going to want to rely on using Google Maps to find things where you're at. So it's going to be fun watching you get around to see what exactly, you know, what kind of luck you have doing that. Because it's still only about 60% of businesses, I just grabbed a statistic, about 60% of businesses have claimed their Google listing. What's another important statistic is that about 10% of businesses don't even have a listing. Google has not even indexed them. Which is what I mean, and that's a number that, you know, is coming up in my very small data set here. But
sure.
Lots of businesses are not even on Google Maps. Google hasn't indexed them for whatever reason, and so, you know, there's a lot of work to be done out there, and the consumer is going to have to drive that. Leave reviews on Google Maps and make businesses understand that we're using that technology.
You know, it's so interesting with part of my follow-up from coming back from the Italian leg, and, you know, drying out from all the Prosecco eventually and then getting some work done. I'm just saying that's what was really going on over there. But, you know, Debbie, you and I looked at that a lot as we were going through, and you put that wonderful map together. It's really interesting to see what some of these businesses in these little towns had this great Google presence, right? They had Google reviews, they had it going on, they had photos, and another one, it was like a ghost town. For me, part of my process was to go to Facebook and leave a review and make a comment, Google and make a review or do a review, and I love how you can, then I added it to my map. And then TripAdvisor was also something I added into that, and it was interesting to see how people, you know, TripAdvisor can be considered like Yelp type of thing. So, but, you know, that's the thing, even from the food and booze shows that I've done with Chef Dennis, Debbie, that you've been a part of, you know, I would be in a restaurant and, you know, get on my phone. You guys probably have done this because I want to hear what's happening in each of your towns now subsequently. But I've been on the phone and said, you know, I'm going to search for you while I'm sitting in your restaurant, and what's going to come up but another place 5 miles down the road that's got a bunch of reviews, right? And they're all like, holy sh. You know, it's kind of, you kind of have to be there to show them, like Nita's saying, they need to see it, though.
And Tim, you might want to jump in there. You had that was one of the things where Tim was, from his place in New York, he did exactly that and got us all pulling out our cell phones whenever we went out the door.
And the key is, remember, let's think about it. If you search with it, we're in the restaurant, whatever you want to call the restaurant, give it its own name. We're sitting there. I've ordered something I shouldn't be eating, and you're having a nice drink. So if we look at it on our phone and search for it, I found it's more likely the business will show up. The key question is, if you're down the road 5 miles, does the business show up? or whatever that geographic area they operate in. That's the key. And so I would go down the road and I would try that, and these businesses with unclaimed listings, they would fall right off. You wouldn't find them anymore. And of course, I made some screenshots. I've got a big Android tablet. I would show this to some restaurant owners. They said, "Huh, I never thought about searching down the road." Which, I can understand. It's easy for us. We're used to this. For them, they're not. So I think the real key question is, can you find them outside of the restaurant? Of course, the issue of reviews in the restaurant is valid too.
Okay, I think so too. Because you're there, you're searching. Peter just made a great comment. Peter, I'm going to read this for you. People use maps so they don't get lost, but if a business is not on the map, then that business ends up lost too. That's actually a really, really great point.
Yeah, and when sometimes in talking to the business, and what we're trying to do, now that we realize what the problem is, as a result of this case study, we know what the challenges are more than anything else. We know that. How do you get through to small businesses? How do you help them? And a big part of this project was, how can we help the other plussers here that we're hanging out with, whether it's in the PYB community or just on the Plus, how can we help them help the businesses in their own local towns? Just, if you're just aware of the fact that if your favorite restaurant is not on Google Maps, you might want to extend, some help to them. It's not that hard for us, but it's really hard for that local business person. And maybe that's the approach, is that everybody just who's here and realizes the benefit of being on Google helps those businesses that are their favorite businesses.
Great point from Ray. Also, there are places where people have left reviews, and as they're not claimed, just translate into lost opportunities. That's excellent. Leaving money on the table. Guys, what do you think about this? Debbie, I'm going to loop onto what you just said. So, even from not a consultant standpoint or going out there and getting business but from all of us being raving fans and advocates, I think it's a great way for us to encourage, just each of us get a little educated. And I know I do it. Do you guys do that too? You go into one of your favorite places and search them? I bet you all do now. You're like, hello. Show me the phone.
That's pretty much all I'm doing anymore. I am a little bit obsessed with the whole thing right now. So
I think it's great though.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, and then speaking on the reviews too, we, in Martin Shervington, and if we failed to mention this, Martin Shervington had written a case study back in November about putting a small town in Brazil on the map, and so he gave us some basic steps to start with, and part of that was what was the socializing, but the extent of his socializing was actually using reviews, so that's where we started. And so we spent several weeks as a team here working on looking at Google's guidelines for reviews, and they're quite strict. Don't ever go in and ask 15 people to leave a review on the same day. Google does not like that.
Ever, ever, ever.
Google wants valid, organic reviews. So, don't have a campaign like, oh, this week we're going to get 100 reviews on our restaurant. Don't do that, because Google doesn't like it. So we learned about Google reviews, but getting customers to leave reviews is very difficult. It's very difficult to do it on mobile unless you have a Google account and you go through Maps. You can't leave a review through your browser on your phone on G+. It's weird, but that's what we discovered. So there's some hurdles, yet reviews are really an important part and a compelling reason for businesses to have a Google Maps listing. So
preach it, sister.
Yeah, it's a lot of challenges.
Hey, do you mind if I'm going to shake it up a little bit, because I like to do that. I'm going to ask each of you guys just quickly if you could shout out, Debbie, we need a timestamp what you just said. It's so good. It's so juicy. But I'd love to see if each of you guys can maybe shout out some people out in the audience. I know Mick Sharp has been a huge supporter of you all. Do each of you want to talk about some of the people outside of the group who've been really instrumental in supporting you, maybe even small businesses in your town? Who wants to go? I'm going to pick somebody. I'm going to pick Tim. Look at Tim's got his hand up. Hey.
Nick Rink.
Yay.
He has this newsletter. It comes out every Friday.
Yep.
I would say subscribe to it. I subscribe to it, and I really should send Nick some money because it's full. He does the research. I mean, you know, I know how long it takes, and plus he knows what he's talking about. As you know, I could do the research, but I don't have the knowledge base that Nick does. So he can kind of take that info and kind of formulate it into, hey, look it, here it is, and here's some pointers concerning the article which you need really to pay attention to. Sorry, I had to say that. I was about ready to
No, well,
burst out
you
of my
kept
seat.
up. Peter popped in, so I love that. I knew there would be a lot of the same names popping up. How about you? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's
Shereen
another,
and
I
Sanjay.
mean, another aspect that was really wonderful as far as shouting out people's names is that we had a very organic PR. We didn't really have any focused campaign. We were focused on some other things, and this PR naturally emerged. So you mentioned Mick Sharp, of course, very crucial to that organic PR. But the other person that I want to mention is Stan Bush, because he was instrumental in getting us on the PYB show. And it wasn't just one show. It was a whole 5 shows. So that really created a wonderful and extended PR campaign. And of course, Mick would pick it up and share those shows. And of course, he's been sharing some recent posts. So I wanted to mention both of them.
And guests sharing their insights on the show from Chef Dennis and James Dearsley and John Dietrich and Nick Rink and
Mike Blumenthal was huge. When Mike agreed to be on the PYB show with us, I could barely sleep because Mike writes extensively about local as well, and he's just a wealth of information. And when I asked him if we could interview him on the PYB show, and he said yes, I just felt like I had hit the jackpot. And so yeah, Mike Blumenthal, and he's got a website called Local U, and it's just so much good information. We can learn very easily just from our Google connections here. So yeah, and then we had Lainey Sullivan came on. She talked about experiential marketing, so that we wanted to, put emphasis on the fact that we were trying to hook this up with the Vail 2015, and she has a background in experiential marketing, so that was good to bring her in on that. We really did, have some great experts come in, weigh in on the project, and then help us to promote it.
And I'm seeing here on your event description, too, you had listed team members Alexander Ricky Gonzalez, Louisa Chan, Lucy Nolette, Marilyn Ritter, Mary Stovall, Troy McLaughlin, so a couple other folks, too, that sounds like they've contributed along the way, too.
That's right. Yeah, we started as the Power Plussers. So Martin had asked us in the PYB Academy to get a group to work together, and the Power Plussers formed at that point. And we just had a 3-week project, and this came out of that. And those folks were involved, at least for that first 3 weeks, to help us formulate the baseline and the foundation for the project. And then, Luisa's in like Kuala Lumpur or something. Where's Luisa? I forget now. She did a radio show and mentioned this project, so it got around the world. It was thrilling.
I love Ray's comment. Sheila cheered us up.
Yes.
That's Sheila. How about you, Ray? Did you have anybody else that you wanted to shout out in particular that helped affect your work or encouraged you? Can you hear us, Ray?
Sure. Well, you have mentioned you said Alexandra. She was helping us, even though she was at the very end of her college for exams. She was
wow. Awesome. Yeah, I know I saw her name was in there too. Hey, Ray, how about for you? How has that affected you in Mexico City with working with that? Has that affected or changed the way you approach businesses?
Before this project, I was working with small companies, trying to get them on the map. Nowadays, I am doing that locally with a tourist office in Mexico. We're going for a small state as a beta test, Mexico. But what is getting very interesting is that now Google has found out that local people are leaving reviews, so they are creating this program that is called Local Guides, which was the local city experts.
What about here's a quick question. This is random. I wonder how many languages total you guys all speak with this group.
Well, I think Nina speaks 5 by herself.
I got 1. 1.5.
I speak 2.
We
Two.
have a conference this week here in Sofia. Sorry to interrupt you,
Oh,
Peter.
no.
And I started meeting businesses more often since I joined the team. And when I can demonstrate what's happening, like a result of the activity, then it gets different. The perception and the perspective of people changes very quickly. And we have a CEO conference this week in Sofia. David Amerland is attending, and I'll be also able to share what I learned. And it's very exciting. So my final message to businesses is that their presence on Google My Business is multiplying for their income, actually, because they will get more business.
It really is. They have to put the effort into it. It looks like we've got 3 languages for Ray, 5 for Nina, 3 for Vin. Debbie, I know you've got 2 under your belt over there.
Oui, je parle français et anglais.
Exactly. I love it when she does that, by the way. Tim, I don't know. Tim, how many do you have?
1.75.
1.7.
I used to know German. I know a little bit of Japanese, but I'm sure it's all filthy, so we can't share it.
I love that. And I gypped Vin. Apparently it's 4 languages, too. Peter, how many do you have?
Just 2, English and gibberish.
That's right, English and gibberish. I love that too. Great to see the effect that's having on everybody in their local town. I love the idea too. It sounds like you guys are all doing the online, and then you're doing the IRL, the in real life. You're getting out there to events, and you're sharing this message too.
And I wanted to bring up. I know Tim has a lot more to say about this, but as we launched this. It was the end of March. Google made kind of a big splash with their GYBO program.
Yes, thank you. I want to hear about that.
It was really, at first I thought, hey, wait a minute. You're stealing our thunder. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. What you're doing is telling us we're on the right track. And so I decided to look at it from that point of view. Tim then, of course, immediately dove in head first. And Tim, are you a partner now on the program?
I am a partner. I actually could have qualified for a partner long ago. I just refused to take the test because I find them insulting, but that's besides the point. So yes, I am a Google partner, whatever that's worth. And do you want me to talk a little bit about the program real briefly?
Yes.
Okay, it's called Let's Put Our Cities on the Map, and if I was going to summarize it, it's another attempt by Google to get more businesses online. And how they're approaching this is they've rewritten a lot of their help material. And it's oriented toward, I guess, 2 approaches. One is a self-service where a business could go and there's a document you can download to kind of figure out, how do I do this? And then there's a partner approach where Google is seeking to partner with chambers of commerce, SCORE, educational institution, and badge Google partners. So, I looked into it. It sounds great. But then I started to think about myself a little bit like, okay, let's do this, but if you threw this in the lap of a business, what would be the outcome? Would all the outcomes be positive? I mean, it could be, a percentage will be, but would a percentage not be positive? So, very detailed information they give you.
We can still hear you.
Was someone doing dishes? I wasn't sure.
Well, we are at almost the end of the hour. I guess they're getting ahead on it.
So that's a summary of it. As with any program, initially, it looks really good. I like it. But, there's some questions because, just imagine with anything. You give someone a manual that's detailed. Here's the manual. It sounds good, and a percentage will be able to do it successfully, but will all of them be able to do that? And how about the hidden dangers? And I'll just share one. I know of some businesses who have gone through website after website. You know, they get a domain, somebody builds it, their domain is in somebody else's name, the person disappears, the website's still up, and then they say, oh, I need another website. And I know of a few businesses, they have 3 live websites, all for the same business, and they only have access to one. So, you know, how do you, that has to be untangled. So, more or less kind of a caveat thing, things to consider in addition to the program.
And Debbie, I love the idea, like you said, first you're like, hey, and then you go, okay, we're on the right path. And same thing, Tim, you're saying, like anything, it's not going to be perfect, but it's a good start towards it. So
Definitely.
People can screw up anything, let's face it. we've
You know
proven
what?
that. Oh, go ahead.
Maybe the one other thing is, like, Debbie has the boots on the ground experience dealing with chambers. So, I mean, that, to me, I would say, hey, Google, I would talk to somebody like Debbie Davis to find out what it's like to actually go to a chamber. And I know Google has done this, but I know some of the chambers, and this is not to say they aren't intelligent people, but, you know, digital is different than print or radio. And then you get into the local search, that's even different. And then there's the rate of change within this. I mean, if you go to some of these local, there's a local pro search community, the rate of change on this stuff is constant. There's constant changes, so I mean that's another thing to consider.
Definitely, I think you always have to keep up on it. What do you think is the best? What do you think would be the next best step, all of you, as we're wrapping up here, for businesses to do today? I know we're going to say, I'll probably say the same thing, but give us some parting tips, especially now that we have the Cities on the Map program. What would be some things we can do? Or that people can tell businesses to do. How's that?
Well, I think that the first thing they can tell people is just tell them to Google themselves. Google
yourself.
Google yourself and see if you can find you. And then if you know of a business that has a good Google Maps listing, tell that person to Google that business so that they can see the difference and they can see that, you know, reviews are being responded to. And just make it simple. Ask them, do you know how to use Google? What do you think the answer is going to be?
They can say yes.
I use it 20 times a day.
Right.
And then say, Google yourself and how do you look on the map? And just so that they are aware that other people are Googling them.
That is a great idea. Anybody else have any parting thoughts? And then I want each of you to go through and tell us how we can find you.
I would just add to Debbie's thing that don't just Google your business name. Google your search terms, you know, like restaurant in Adelaide that serves vegetarian food. That's what you want to come up for, not Vegos and Loving It or whatever your business name is.
Excellent.
It sounds obvious. It sounds obvious, but you know,
that's a great piece of advice as well. Is just come up with a small list and just start with that, and then do some research on it too. Do some research, see what's out there, and find some. I mean, sometimes you do need to get just a little bit of help. You got to hire somebody. Come on, people, don't be cheap. I'm just saying. That's my parting word. So, Debbie, should we wrap it up and have everybody give their parting lines and where to find them?
Yeah, let's do that. You guys know where to find me at 3D Debbie or right here on Google+. And I am taking all of the knowledge that I got on this and I'm taking it on the road. I'm now working with Golden, Colorado, which is closer. Yay! And yes. So I'm starting another local initiative, and I'll be posting like crazy. And we will continue posting on the EagleCO Vail 2015 page, although we will probably be changing the name of it so that it is more local and not about Eagle. So keep track of us there.
Excellent. Great. How about you, Nina? Where can we find you, please?
Yeah, I'm easy. I'm on G+, and all my social media, Nina Trankova. My blog is also Nina Trankova.
And during the break here, Nina and I just made plans that I'm going to Sofia. So look for me in Bulgaria.
You're welcome.
That just happened, and I will be there. When you said beautiful house to stay and we'll walk around the city, okay, I'm there. Just knock on the door. So
you're welcome.
Thank you for all your help and contribution to this, Nina. We all appreciate it.
Thank you, Mia.
How about Peter? Peter, Kraken Media.
Well, Kraken Media is the name. KrakenMedia.com is the domain. So that's what our website is in the UK, and on Google+, I'm Plus Peter Lunn. And also, just want to back up what Tim was saying about Nick Rink. Nick Rink's in the UK as well, woohoo! And Nick Rink's very accessible and really helpful guy when it comes to local search. So check him out as well.
Nick Rink, you are the man, right? I love it. Okay, Ray, how about you? Where do we find you?
You can find me here in Google Plus or in leadus.com.mx, that's Mexico. And my parting thought is that keep it simple. Everybody needs to keep it simple when you are giving explanation or when you are looking for a domain for your business.
I love that. Like, keep it simple. That's the way to do it. Thank you so much to you too. All right, Double Trouble, Sherry and Sanjeev. I think you're muted, guys. Okay, what? There you go. Where can we find you too?
We dropped away for a little while, but you can always find us on Google+. We haven't been very active publicly lately, but we will be showing up. And if there's any new businesses coming out there, I really feel it's important for them to have a private community to step into where we can help them along with their posting relevant to their pages to get them on the plus. It's not just enough just to be on the map. I think being on the plus is a very valuable thing to be providing for businesses.
Right.
Excellent. And do you have a website we should go to look at anything?
No, just find us on the plus.
That is the way to be. I like, you're like, we're staying with the plus, people. Find us here. Thank you so much, both of you. You are a tag
Sorry about
team.
the technical stuff glitch.
Now, Tim just thought you were doing dishes. I love it. Speaking of Tim, where should we go to find you?
Well, probably the easiest is type in my name in Google+, Tim Sweeney. I'm the guy with a balding head. Or go to your local post office. Sometimes you see my picture on the wall.
And then run quickly. I love it. Thanks for your contribution, though. You're the fixer. I love it. The problem solver, one of the problem solvers. And we've got Vintuitive.com. That's where we find you, right?
Yep, that's where you can find me. It's just like intuitive, but with a capital V.
I know.
And you can also find me on Google+, of course, Twitter, everywhere else. I'd like to just say a shout out to Stan Bush, Marilyn Ritter, and George Cohn. There's a whole bunch of other people that were on our team that was sort of a secondary group of people that a lot of them already been mentioned, but those are the three I just picked.
Excellent. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to agree when you go and look up It Takes a Village, it's going to be this team. This group of people. You guys, let's give a final shout out to Debbie, the mastermind that came up with all this and brought everybody together. Debbie, you are rocking out with your sock out. Can't wait to see what happens in Golden Girlfriend.
Thank you so much, Mia. We really appreciate you coming and helping us get this on the air. And this has been a blast, and it's not over. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, keep following our EagleCO page, and there's more to come. Thank you so much, Mia.
Awesome. I've been honored to host this. I feel like it's one of those good roasts, except nobody got roasted. Everybody got celebrated, so next time. And thanks to everybody who watched and commented. It sounds like there was a lot of great comments. So everybody's going to jump in and answer your questions too. So thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.